we're seeing massive immigration all over the world. In the US, Biden has let in about 15 million people since he's been in office. It's open borders, record breaking every year, record. And in the UK, it's been record, 750,000 legal immigrants last year, along with 150,000 illegal immigrants last year, net, that is. It's really 1.6 million if we look at the gross figure. Why are they doing this? Why do they love immigration? So it's been disclosed in the UK, for instance, while the government would theoretically like to clamp down on immigration, the Bank of England has clearly told them, as well as all the civil service behind them, we need immigration. Please do not clamp out. In fact, we need more. We need more. So they tell you because of the economic benefits of immigration. We know that's a lie. There is no economic benefits to immigration. It makes everyone poorer. That's very clear to everyone. More benefits, more housing costs, and all this. So we're going to go through the reason why they're doing it. And there's really two reasons. The first is obviously GDP. When you import lots of people, it does increase GDP, gross domestic product, which is the value of the economy, the amount of transactions going in the economy. If you bring in more people, obviously they need to spend more and do stuff. That increases GDP in economy. Now, obviously they don't give you GDP per capita, right, which is GDP per person, because that's been going down every time with every immigrant they bring in. It goes in now. Not high-skilled immigrants. If they did that like Australia, that would be a good thing. But they're bringing in low-skilled, low labor. They don't even want to work. I mean, they don't want to work. They just want to go on benefits. But let's say if they do work, it's very at the low level, undercutting people in the country that would want to work, but they bring the price down. And so therefore, it's a detriment to the economy. But GDP total, it increases always. It's a guaranteed way to increase GDP, and therefore you can say you're not in recession. And it's very good for politicians to say, we've not had a recession, we're doing swimmingly. Don't look at GDP per capita, because then you would realize your standards of living are going down the toilet. Just look at total GDP, and people are like gaslighted into thinking, wow, yeah, we're really not in a recession, even though think you're getting poorer. You feel poorer every single day. So that is one thing. The other thing, and this is the thing people fail to miss, and this is the thing that only the Bank of England and the Fed and all of them know, and that's housing prices. Our economies are built on the Ponzi scheme of housing prices. Now, what does housing prices do? They need it to go up. They cannot let it go down. It's never going to go down, guys. If you think there's going to be a housing pricing crash, you're delusional. If COVID didn't show you that, and I did a video right at the beginning of COVID saying it would not crash when everyone thought it would. If you think it's going to crash, there is no chance. They will do everything, and that's what immigration is for, to stop that. So in the UK, they're, as I said, importing about 1 million people a year. They're only building 225,000 houses a year. So obviously there's huge demand for housing. Rents are through the roof, and house prices are still going up. And that's because there's artificial demand from these immigrants. So why does that help them? I'll tell you why. The UK, less so in the US, but the UK definitely does not produce anything, right? It is a dead economy. Its stock market is dead. Everything is dead. There's no no innovation going on. It's dead. It does not produce. It's massive current account deficit. It imports more than it exports. And so what does it have to do? It can only generate wealth through housing. How does it do this? Let's say a house is worth £500,000. The guy borrows against that £500,000 and spends it. Next year, it's £1 million. It's 1 million. What does he do? He borrows against that 1 million, pays back the 500,000. Now there's another 500,000 to spend. He spends that money. Next year, it's 1.5 million. He's now got 1.5 million. He takes the 1.5 million, pays back the 1 million, and then he's got another £500,000 to spend. And on it goes. It's using the collateral, the fake valuations of this housing in order to spend more money, essentially, right? So the UK's total wealth is virtually all in housing, and that's why no one really saves money in the UK. They don't invest in the stock market, they don't even invest in their pensions, they just buy houses. Anyone who makes money just goes straight into houses and forgets innovation. Why bother with creating a business where you can just go into property and it's guaranteed to go up, backed up by the government and everyone? You'd have to be mad. It's a guaranteed way of making money. So that's what they want to do. And that increases the wealth, that allows people to spend more. Now, if you did not have immigrants, let's say you didn't have 1 million people coming to the UK a year or 15 million people come to the US, what would happen? You would have like Japan or China at the moment, which is what? A housing crash. What happens then? That 1.5 million he had is now 1 million. He has to still pay back the 1.5 million he borrowed. He spent 500,000. He's bankrupt. He has to sell that cheap. It goes from 1 million down to 500,000. More people get sunk in this trap. Therefore, they are negative equity. And now everything crashes. The banks crash. There's no demand because there's no extra 500,000 from the revaluation of his property. There's no spending in the economy. There's no industries to support anything else. And so everything, people's wealth, the economy, everything associated with it, and the nation itself collapses. That's what we had with Japan in the 1990s when their housing bubble burst. Everything collapsed and they've been stuck there basically ever since. And China's doing that now. It had to, as explained in my last video, they had to do it because they've built the amount of properties for 1 billion people. They've overbuilt the amount of properties that can fit in 1 billion people. That is how much they overbuilt, so they had no choice. And they're trying to stop it coming down through Communist Party, through communist interventions. You're not allowed to reduce prices, things like that. So they are trying to limit that reduction in price, but at least not let it increase. That's what they want, right? Not to cause negative equity. That's the main point. You don't want negative equity. But that is what would happen in the UK and US, where increasingly all of our wealth is piled up. That is what generates the money in the economy. That's what fuels the economy. It's a Ponzi scheme built on housing, essentially. That is where our economies are. Not generating anything of note, not producing anything, simply increasing people's wealth on nothing. Again, imagine I had a pen and that just kept on going up in price. I'd just borrow against that pen and I spend against that pen, and every time it keeps on going up. That is what they do. That's why they want immigration, and so it's for the GDP and for the housing. And it will not stop. It will not stop. They cannot let it stop. And that's why they'll never get a handle on immigration. They will destroy your lives. They will make you poorer. Would you be as poor if you had a housing crash? No, if you had a housing crash, everyone would have Armageddon, right? And that is why they can't let it happen. So immigration ain't going to stop, guys. It's just going to ramp up and get worse.